Her eyes were red, her voice shaking. "Don't make me go back there," Lily said. I told her she was overreacting. That night, I learned how wrong I was. Summer had just started, and for once, things felt manageable. Being a single dad at 38 wasn't easy, but Lily and I had found a rhythm. She was 14 now, sarcastic when she felt safe, moody when she didn't, and constantly on her phone like every other teen I knew. Mornings were always a rush. I'd throw coffee in a travel mug, she'd grab her earbuds, and we'd ride in silence until school or, now, summer break. I'd started to think maybe we were finally settling into something normal. That's when Karen called. My aunt, technically Lily's great-aunt, was one of those people everyone seemed to admire from a distance. She ran charity drives, hosted neighborhood gatherings, and never missed a Sunday at church. She was also my late mother's older sister, which gave her a certain authority in the family. When she asked me for something, it always sounded less like a request and more like a moral obligation. "Michael," she said over the phone, her voice sweet but sharp underneath. "I was wondering if Lily might like to spend a few days here this summer, just to help me out. You know I've been running programs for neighborhood kids, and an extra pair of hands would mean the world." I remember looking around my kitchen while she talked, at the stack of bills on the counter, the sink full of dishes. I worked 9-hour days at the hardware distributor, and as much as I loved Lily, I couldn't exactly keep her entertained all summer. Karen's house was 15 minutes from mine, right along my commute. The convenience almost felt too perfect. When I asked Lily about it, she made a face. "Seriously? You want me to spend my summer babysitting old ladies and kids I don't even know?" She scrolled on her phone like it was the stupidest idea she'd ever heard. "It's not babysitting," I told her. "It's helping your aunt, and it's just during the day until I pick you up after work. Plus, it's better than sitting home alone all day." She rolled her eyes, muttered something under her breath, but eventually shrugged. "Whatever. Fine." So the arrangement began. The first morning, she barely spoke in the car. Just headphones in, hood pulled over her head, scrolling TikTok. When I dropped her off, Karen greeted us at the door with that big polished smile of hers, arms spread wide. "Lily, so good to see you, sweetheart. We're going to have such fun this week." Lily gave a half smile back, the kind that said, "I'm being polite for Dad's sake." I thought nothing of it. That evening, when I picked her up, she was quieter than usual, staring out the passenger window instead of talking about what she did. I asked how it went. She shrugged. "Fine. Fine good, or fine bad? Fine." I figured she was just tired. The second day played out almost the same. Silence in the car. Karen was cheerful at the door. Lily is dragging her backpack behind her at pickup, not saying much. When I pushed for details, she finally said, "She's just strict, like insanely strict. You'd think I was in the military or something." I laughed. "Karen's always been like that. She means well." "Yeah, whatever," Lily muttered, then turned her music up loud enough that I stopped asking questions. I chalked it up to teenage exaggeration. But on the third day, everything changed. I pulled up after work, expecting the same routine. Instead, the front door burst open before I even cut the engine. Lily came running out, eyes swollen, cheeks streaked with tears. She yanked open the car door, practically throwing herself inside. "Dad, don't make me go back there," she sobbed, voice cracking. "Please, I'm not kidding. Don't make me." I froze, caught off guard. Whoa, hey, slow down. What happened?" She shook her head, hugging her arms to her chest. "Just please don't make me." Karen appeared on the porch then, smiling like nothing was wrong, waving at me with a perfectly calm expression. "Long day," she called cheerfully. "She'll be fine once she's had dinner." I looked between them, my aunt serene, my daughter shaking. My gut twisted, but I told myself Lily was just overwhelmed. Teens could be dramatic, couldn't they? Maybe Karen was tougher than she liked, but she wasn't dangerous, right? "It's fine," I told Lily, starting the car. "We'll talk about it at home, okay? Just breathe." She turned away from me, pressing her forehead against the glass, and cried silently the whole ride back. I told myself it was nothing, just a teenage overreaction, just strict rules she didn't like. But deep down, a voice I didn't want to hear whispered, "What if she's telling the truth?" That night, I figured Lily would sleep it off. She barely touched dinner, went straight to her room, and shut the door. I told myself she was just exhausted, that by morning she'd roll her eyes and tell me I overreacted. I tried to believe it, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face in the car, wet with tears, trembling like she'd just escaped a nightmare. When the alarm went off the next morning, I went to knock on her door. No answer. I pushed it open. Her bed was empty. First, my brain went blank. Then it started to scream. I tore through the apartment, checking the bathroom, the kitchen, the balcony. Nothing. Her backpack was gone. Her phone wasn't on the counter. I grabbed mine, dialed her number. Straight to voicemail. God, no, I muttered, pacing in circles. My chest felt like it was collapsing in on itself. I called 3 of her friends, got no answers. Tried again. Nothing. Finally, I thought of Beth, Lily's best friend since 6th grade. I dialed Beth's mom. Hello. Hey, it's Michael, Lily's dad. Is she there? There was a pause, a heavy one. Then, yes, she showed up last night. She's here now. Relief hit me so hard I had to sit down. Thank God. I'll be right there. When I pulled up to Beth's house, Lily was standing in the doorway like she'd been waiting for me. Hoodie pulled tight, eyes bloodshot. She didn't move at first, just stared at me like I was another problem she had to deal with. Lily. My voice cracked as I stepped out of the car. You scared the hell out of me. Why didn't you? Don't, she snapped, cutting me off. Just don't. Beth's mom touched Lily's shoulder gently, then slipped back inside, leaving us. I exhaled, forcing myself to stay calm. Okay, then talk to me. What's going on at Karen's? Lily looked away, chewing on her sleeve. For a long moment, I thought she wouldn't say anything. Then her voice broke. She's not just strict, Dad. She's messed up. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? Lily swallowed hard. She makes the kids, she brings over do chores all day. Like, non-stop. Laundry, scrubbing floors, yard work. If you mess up, she calls you names, tells you you're lazy, useless. She says if you want to eat, you have to earn it. I froze. She made you. She told me to clean the bathrooms. And when I didn't do it well enough, she made me redo it. 3 times. I didn't get lunch. And she laughed when I cried. Her voice cracked, and she yanked the sleeve up to wipe her eyes. A heat built in my chest, so hot it made my hands shake. She told me not to tell you, that you'd just think I was being dramatic. That if I said anything, she'd make sure everyone thought I was a liar. I felt like the floor had dropped out beneath me. Every excuse I'd made for Karen, strict, old-fashioned, means well, crumbled into dust. Why didn't you tell me sooner? My voice came out harsher than I meant, and Lily flinched. Because I knew you'd say I was overreacting, she snapped, tears streaking her face. Like you did yesterday. The guilt hit harder than the anger. She was right. I had brushed her off. I told her it was fine when it wasn't. I stepped closer, my voice low and steady. Listen to me. You don't have to go back there. Not ever. I swear on my life, Lily. Her lips trembled, and finally she let me hug her. She clung to me like she was afraid I'd disappear too. But behind the promise I made, another voice was screaming in my head. I wanted to drive straight to Karen's house, kick her door in, and drag her into the street. I wanted to make her feel every ounce of fear she dumped on my daughter. As I drove Lily home, my hands gripping the wheel too tightly, my mind was already racing through the possibilities. A confrontation, a fight, a way to end it fast. But one thing was clear. I wasn't looking at my aunt anymore. I was looking at a predator who thought she could break my daughter. And she had no idea who she'd just started a war with. I drove past Karen's house that evening, gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles went white. There she was, standing in her yard, sun drenching her like some kind of holy light. A few neighborhood kids were playing on the grass, laughing, while she handed out lemonade with that sweet smile everyone always praised. To anyone passing by, she looked like a saint. But I knew better now. I could still hear Lily's voice cracking in the car, describing the humiliation, the hunger, the threats, and watching Karen clap her hands, telling some boy to carry the cooler inside. All I saw was the predator hiding behind a mask of kindness. I pulled over a few houses down just to watch. It was disgusting how natural she looked, like she'd rehearsed this role for years. A mom walked by with a stroller and waved. Karen waved back with exaggerated cheer, then leaned down and whispered something to one of the kids. He froze for half a second before plastering on a smile and running to grab something. She had them trained. "Mr. Miller?" A voice croaked behind me. I turned. Mrs. Crowley, who lived right across from Karen, was hunched over her cane, her thin white hair glowing in the late sun. I forced a smile. "Evening, Mrs. Crowley." Her pale eyes flicked to Karen's house, then back at me. She lowered her voice. "You see it too, don't you?" My pulse kicked. "See what?" Mrs. Crowley's mouth pressed thin. "I've lived here 30 years. Kids come and go from that house all the time. Never the same ones for long. And at night—" She hesitated, then leaned in. "I hear crying, yelling, things thrown. But every morning, she comes out looking like Mary Poppins." The words sank into me like stones. I wanted to demand why she hadn't called the police, but then I realized she probably had. And nothing had stuck. "Do yourself a favor," Mrs. Crowley whispered. "Keep your daughter away. Karen. She always gets what she wants." My jaw tightened. Not this time. I didn't wait for her reply. I crossed the street. Karen spotted me instantly, her face lighting up like it was Christmas. "Michael, what a surprise. Come. Would you like some lemonade?" Her voice was honey, but my skin crawled. "No thanks," I said flatly. She tilted her head, feigning hurt. "Still holding a grudge after all these years?" I thought moving into the neighborhood was a sign of peace. I ignored the jab. "Lily told me what's been going on inside." Her eyebrows shot up, then softened into something almost playful. "Oh? And what exactly did she say?" "That you're working kids to the bone, withholding meals, threatening them." Karen chuckled. Actually chuckled, like I'd told the world's most ridiculous joke. "Michael, really? Teenagers exaggerate. Lily must have misunderstood my program. I teach responsibility, discipline, the same values our parents drilled into us." She leaned in, her perfume cloying. "The values you clearly forgot." I wanted to snap right there. Instead, I clenched my fists at my sides. "If you ever—" "Careful," she interrupted smoothly, her smile still fixed. "You don't want to sound paranoid in front of the neighbors. They adore me, you know. Volunteer of the year, remember?" She spread her arms toward the kids like she was on stage. "Ask anyone. They'll tell you I'm practically raising this community's children." The way she said it made my stomach turn. "Stay away from Lily," I growled. Her eyes gleamed for just a second before her mask returned. "Of course, if that's what you want. But remember, Michael, this neighborhood has eyes, and people talk. Be careful. The story they tell isn't about you." I walked away before I could lose control. That night, I called Detective Harris, a guy I dealt with years back when someone broke into my car. Steady, pragmatic, the kind who never sugarcoats. He picked up on the second ring. "Harris, it's Michael Miller. I need to talk to you about my aunt." I told him everything. Lily's story, Mrs. Crowley's warning, my confrontation. The more I lay out, the heavier my chest got, because I already knew how it sounded. When I finished, Harris sighed. "Michael, I believe you think something's going on, but what you've got is hearsay. Kids complain about strict relatives all the time. Neighbors gripe. Without hard proof. Photos, recordings, medical evidence. My hands are tied. I slammed my fist against the counter. So what? We wait until one of those kids breaks for real? Until it's too late? I'm telling you what I can work with, Harris said evenly. Right now, it's nothing. If you can get something solid, call me back. Until then, you need to keep your cool. Don't go vigilante on me. I hung up, my blood boiling. Karen had built herself a fortress of smiles, charity banners, and hollow praises. She'd turned neighbors into her shield, their admiration protecting her while kids like Lily suffered behind closed doors. And me? I was just the angry dad with no evidence. For the first time, it hit me. She was untouchable, unless I found a way to rip that mask off her face. I wanted to smash down her door, but Emily's face, no, Lily's face, kept stopping me. Prison wouldn't save her. I'd already failed once by brushing off her cries. Failing again would be the end of both of us. So instead, I changed tactics. If Karen wanted to play the benevolent queen of the block, I'd play the quiet shadow that watched from the corners. I parked my car down the street in the early mornings before work, coffee cooling in my hands, eyes locked on her lawn. It didn't take long to see the cracks. Kids with backpacks and tired eyes showed up every day. Not all of them lived on this block. Some looked too young to be on their own. Karen would greet them like she was welcoming royalty. Then within minutes, she had them hauling trash bags, scrubbing her porch, pulling weeds. Not chores. Labor. I started taking photos. Grainy shots from behind my windshield. One boy carrying bricks for some garden project. Another girl lugging a vacuum cleaner from the garage. At first, I told myself it was enough. But after 2 days, the photos looked like nothing. Kids helping out. That's all anyone would see. One afternoon, I parked closer and rolled down the window. Karen's voice carried across the lawn, sharp as a whip. If you want to eat lunch today, finish that row. Don't just stand there staring. The boy froze, then bent lower, pulling weeds faster. I gripped my phone so hard my knuckles hurt, recording video. The audio was faint, but the tone was there. That voice wasn't charity. It was control. When I showed Lily the clip that night, she stared at it, her eyes wide, her arms crossed tight across her chest. Dad, you can't use me in this. You promised. I can't go back there. I won't, I said quickly, putting my hands on her shoulders. I swear I won't let her hurt you again. I need to stop her. For good. For the other kids. Her lip trembled, but she nodded. Still, I could see the fear hadn't loosened its grip. The next day, I took more. Hours of footage. Kids lined up on the porch, Karen barking orders. A girl carrying a heavy mop bucket while Karen smiled for a passing neighbor. Every video told the same story. 2 faces of the same woman, one sweet, one vicious. I clipped everything together on my laptop and made an appointment with Detective Harris. When he walked into the diner booth, I shoved the laptop toward him before his coffee even hit the table. Watch. Listen. He did. He leaned in, brows furrowed, replayed certain moments, then finally closed the screen and looked me dead in the eye. Michael, I'm not saying this isn't disturbing, but it's not illegal to ask kids to help out. Threatening to withhold lunch? Ugly, but not a crime on its own. Without a direct victim statement or proof of physical harm, this won't stick. A lawyer would shred it in minutes. My stomach sank. So what? I just wait until one of them breaks down? Or until she ruins another kid like she almost ruined mine? His voice softened just a hair. I'm telling you the truth. What you've got is circumstantial. I left the diner feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. That night, Lily found me at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers, photos, and notes scribbled like some crazed detective on a wall. Dad, she whispered, you're scaring me. I looked up, and for the first time, I saw myself through her eyes, wild, desperate, teetering on the edge of something dangerous. I grabbed her hand. I'm sorry. I can't let her win. Then stop, she said quickly. Just stop. Forget her. I almost agreed. I almost folded right there. But then I thought of that boy with the weeds, the girl with the mop bucket. If I quit, I was sentencing them to the same nightmare. Lily? My throat burned. If I could prove it. If I could really prove it. Would you help me? She froze, already shaking her head. No. No, you promised. I know. I know I did. I squeezed her hand. And I hate myself for asking. But you're the only one who can do it. You've been inside. You know how she works. If you were something small, something hidden, her face twisted with betrayal. You're asking me to go back into that house. The silence was brutal. I wanted to take it back, to say I'd find another way. But the truth pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't shake. Yes, I whispered. One last time, and I'll be right outside the whole time. The second anything feels wrong, you call me and I come in. No hesitation. But if you can get her words on tape, if you can show the world who she really is, she can't hide anymore. Tears filled her eyes. She pulled her hand away. You're supposed to protect me, not use me. Her words carved through me, but I didn't back down. This is protecting you. It's protecting every kid she pulls into her trap. You said you didn't want anyone else to go through what you did. This is the only way. For a long moment, She stared at me. Then, slowly, painfully, she nodded once. The next day, I drove to an electronics shop and bought the smallest mic and camera kit I could find. Tiny enough to clip under a shirt collar, small enough to disappear into a backpack seam. I tested it a dozen times before Lily even touched it. When I finally handed it to her, my hands shook. I swear, Lily, this is it. After this, she's done. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just clipped the device in place and said, "Then let's end it." And in that moment, I knew. I wasn't just sending my daughter into my aunt's house. I was sending her into the lion's den, armed only with truth. And I prayed it would be enough. Dropping Lily off again felt like betraying her myself. My heart pounded the whole drive. She sat next to me in silence, arms folded, earbuds in, staring out the window like she could will herself anywhere else. When we pulled up to Karen's neat little suburban fortress, Lily finally looked at me. "Don't mess this up," she whispered. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were glassy. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "The second you feel unsafe, you call. I'll be right here." She nodded once, grabbed her bag, and walked toward the front door. I forced myself to stay seated as Karen swung it open with her syrupy smile. "Oh, sweetheart. So glad you came back." Her arms spread wide like she was welcoming royalty. Lily stiffened under the hug, and then the door shut. I exhaled, fumbling with the receiver. The tiny earpiece crackled. Then Karen's voice poured in. Way too sweet for anyone who didn't know better. "Children, look who decided to grace us again. Let's show her how we do things." Chairs scraped, whispers. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Then Karen's voice sharpened, cutting through like glass. "No slouching. Back straight. Hands on your laps. Do you think people will respect you if you sit like lazy animals? Useless." A pause. A muffled cough. She pounced. "You," she snapped. "Can you not even sit without fidgeting? Do you want to starve tonight? Is that it?" I bit my lip hard. She was threatening a child over posture. My pulse hammered. Through the static, another kid mumbled an apology. Karen's laugh was cold. Pathetic. Minutes stretched like hours. She drilled into them one by one, tossing insults that cut deeper because they were spoken with the cadence of authority. Dirty. Helpless. No wonder your parents don't want you around. Each sentence made my skin crawl. Then she zeroed in on Lily. "Well, look who came crawling back," Karen cooed, dripping sarcasm. "Did Daddy finally remind you who puts food on your plate?" My chest seized. Lily's voice trembled, but she kept it even. "I'm just here to help." Karen snorted. "Help? You couldn't scrub a dish without whining. Everyone, listen up. This one thinks she's better than you. But when she's here, she eats when I say she eats. She works when I say she works. Isn't that right?" Silence. Then Karen's voice snapped like a whip. "Answer me." "Yes," Lily whispered. It nearly broke me. Karen didn't stop there. "Useless little girl. Your father spoils you. You don't deserve half of what you get. Maybe I should call him and tell him what you're really like. Lazy, selfish, ungrateful." My fist shook. Every instinct screamed at me to run in, drag Lily out, tear Karen's house apart. But the recorder was rolling, every venomous word preserved. Then Karen made her fatal mistake. "You think you can leave when you want?" she hissed. "No. When you're under my roof, you're mine. All of you." There was a sharp thud, like a chair kicked back. A child whimpered. Lily's voice trembled. "Please don't." That was it. I ripped the earpiece out and slammed out of the car. My legs carried me across the lawn before I even thought. I pounded on the door, loud enough to shake the frame. Karen opened it, mask slipping for the briefest second before she plastered on her sweet smile. "Michael, what a surprise. Get Lily. Now." My voice was low, shaking with rage. Her lips curled like she wanted to argue, but something in my eyes must have warned her off. She turned, barked Lily's name. Seconds later, my daughter appeared, pale, clutching her backpack like armor. She didn't look at Karen. She looked at me, and that was enough. I pulled her out the door, down the steps, my hand firm on her shoulder. Karen called after us, sing-song sweet. "Don't forget, Michael, kids need discipline. You're too soft." I didn't answer. I shoved Lily into the car, slid in after her, and peeled away so fast the tires squealed. When we hit the corner, I finally looked at her. She was shaking, but her eyes burned with something fierce. "Did you hear it?" I nodded. Every word. Her lip quivered. Then she let out a choked laugh that turned into a sob. Relief. I grabbed her hand and squeezed. "She's finished." For the first time since this nightmare began, I believed it. 2 days later, the flashing lights outside Karen's house drew the whole neighborhood. Red and blue strobes cut through the quiet morning, bouncing off windows and cars. By the time I pulled up, half the block was gathered on their lawns, whispering. Karen stood on her porch, arms outstretched, voice shrill. "This is a mistake. You can't do this to me. These children need me." 2 officers moved in anyway, one reading her rights, the other snapping cold metal around her wrists. Behind her, kids peeked from the doorway, wide-eyed, whispering to each other like they'd just seen the witch in their fairy tales dragged out by knights. Mrs. Crowley shuffled closer, her cardigan pulled tight against the morning air. She leaned toward me, muttering just loud enough for me to hear. "Always knew something was off. Nobody smiles that wide without hiding something." I didn't answer. My hand was locked around Lily's, and I could feel the tremor still running through her fingers. She pressed against me like she needed proof she wasn't walking back into that house. Karen caught sight of us in the crowd. For the first time, her mask cracked in full view, rage twisting her face, her voice rising over the sirens. "You did this. Michael, you traitor. I took care of you when no one else would." The neighbors froze, turning toward me. My stomach dropped. She was still trying to spin it even in cuffs. But for once, her words didn't land. I saw it in their faces. Doubt, disgust, the first cracks in the pedestal she'd built for herself. I squeezed Lily's shoulder and kept my eyes on Karen as the officers guided her down the steps. Her feet caught on the last one and she nearly stumbled. The crowd murmured. The sight should have satisfied me. And in a way, it did. But mostly, it left a hollow ache in my chest. Because Lily had begged me not to send her back. She'd cried in my arms, and I told her she was overreacting. I almost let my daughter disappear inside her aunt's house until she broke. The thought gnawed at me like rust eating through steel. "Dad." Lily's voice pulled me back. Small but steady. "It's over, right?" I crouched so we were eye level, the sirens wailing behind us. "Yeah, it's over." She nodded, but her eyes shimmered. The relief on her face mixed with something else. A scar that wouldn't fade overnight. Karen shouted one last time, her words sharp enough to cut the air. "You'll regret this. You think they'll believe you forever." The door of the cruiser slammed, muffling her rant into nonsense. The crowd began to scatter, neighbors whispering in disbelief. Some shook their heads, others muttered that they trusted her, donated to her so-called charity, left their kids with her. Mrs. Crowley stayed a moment longer, eyes narrowed at the flashing lights. "Saints don't need spotlights," she muttered. Then she shuffled back toward her porch. I stood there, Lily's hand tight in mine, watching as the car pulled away. Karen's silhouette in the backseat twisted, pressed against the window like she still thought she could talk her way out. For years, she'd controlled everything with that smile and those honeyed words. Now, for the first time, nobody believed her. And I swore to myself, never again would I ignore my daughter's voice. That one night nearly cost me everything. As the cruiser turned the corner and disappeared, Lily leaned against me. "Can we go home?" I wrapped an arm around her. "Yeah, we're going home." "Hey, what would you have done if your own aunt twisted charity into something cruel? Would you have stormed her house, or done what Michael did and played her game until you had proof?" Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.